The next war may not begin with a tank column, a fighter sweep, or even a missile salvo. It may begin with a cloud of small, cheap drones, silent at first, then suddenly everywhere. This is the uncomfortable reality shaping modern battlefields, from Ukraine to the Middle East. Dual-use technology, commercial off-the-shelf components, and mass production have transformed unmanned aerial systems from niche tools into one of the most disruptive weapons in war. What once required expensive aerospace engineering can now be assembled from readily available electronics, lightweight airframes, GPS modules, cameras, batteries, and autopilot software. The result is a class of weapons that can be built fast, fielded in large numbers, and used in ways that force even the most advanced militaries to rethink their defenses. And that is where the problem begins, because the economics are brutal. A modern surface-to-air interceptor can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in some cases, several million. A small attack drone, by contrast, may cost only a fraction of that. That asymmetry is exactly why swarm drones are so attractive. They don't need to survive for long. They don't need to win a dogfight. They just need to force the defender to spend far more than the attacker did. This is the new cost-exchange battle of the air war. If a defense system fires $1 million missile at a $30,000 drone, the attacker has already won part of the exchange, even if the drone is destroyed. And if 10, 20, or 50 drones arrive together, the defender is suddenly in a nightmare scenario. The math starts to work against the side trying to protect the airspace. That's why drone swarms are so effective as kamikaze weapons, decoys, reconnaissance tools, and saturation attacks. They can be used to overload radar coverage, exhaust interceptors, probe air defense radars, or open a temporary gap in an integrated air defense network. In some cases, they are sent not just to strike a target, but to confuse the defender long enough for something bigger to come through. But the real difficulty is not just the cost. It is detection. Small unmanned aircraft are hard to see because they are so small, low, and often built from materials that do not reflect radar strongly. Their radar cross-section can be tiny, sometimes in the range of hundredths of a square meter, which makes them harder to detect than larger aircraft and far harder to track in cluttered terrain. And when they fly low, using terrain masking, nap of the Earth profiles, or other low-altitude approaches, they delay detection until the last possible moment. That shortens the reaction window, and in air defense, reaction time is everything. A target that is detected early can be tracked, classified, and engaged with layered defenses. A target that appears late can force defenders into a rushed decision, often with only seconds to react. That's why air defense crews increasingly rely on a mix of sensors: radar, electro-optical and infrared systems, RF detection, acoustic arrays, and in some cases, higher frequency radars that are better at spotting small, moving objects. Each sensor solves part of the problem. Radar gives range and motion. Infrared can pick up heat. RF sensors can detect control links or data links. Acoustic systems can help in close range. And when all of them are fused together, the defender gets a better shot at separating a real threat from clutter, birds, civilian traffic, or environmental noise. That is where Micro-Doppler analysis becomes important. It helps a radar distinguish between something like a flock of birds and a drone with spinning rotors or a powered propeller. In the same way, synthetic aperture radar and inverse synthetic aperture radar can provide better classification at longer range or in more difficult environments. LiDAR and other specialized systems can also help cue point defense weapons, especially in urban or cluttered areas. The trend is clear. The defense against drones is becoming as much about sensing and software as it is about firepower. Once a threat is detected, the next question is what to shoot it with. And here, the battlefield gets even more interesting. Traditional short-range air defense systems still matter, but the drone revolution has pushed militaries to reconsider the role of guns. Not because guns are old-fashioned, but because they can be incredibly cost-effective when used correctly. This is where systems like the Bosphor's L-70 and the ZSU-23-4 Shalika become relevant again. For years, many armies treated gun-based air defense as a legacy capability. But in the drone age, that assumption is being challenged. Upgraded guns, especially those paired with modern electro-optical sights, digital fire control systems, and airburst munitions, are proving that a well-managed cannon can be one of the cheapest ways to kill a small drone. That matters because guns have something missiles do not: a far lower cost per shot. A burst of shells may still be expensive in the context of artillery ammunition, but it is nowhere near the price of launching guided interceptors. And when the target is a low-cost drone, the economics suddenly favor the gun. That is why airburst ammunition has become such a major part of the counter-drone conversation. Airburst rounds are designed to detonate at a specific point in the air, turning one shell into a cloud of fragments or tungsten sub-projectiles. Instead of trying to hit a small, fast-moving drone with a single solid projectile, the gun creates a small wall of destructive material in the target's path. It is brute force, but smart brute force. AHEAD, or Advanced Hit Efficiency and Destruction, is one of the best-known examples. In a 35mm round, a programmed muzzle-based system calculates the ideal burst point so that the projectile releases a cloud of tungsten cylinders precisely in front of the target. Those sub-projectiles form a lethal pattern that is especially effective against drones, small missiles, and even some rocket or mortar threats. The appeal is obvious. Not relying on a direct hit from a tiny shell against a tiny aircraft, instead filling the air at the right point and right moment with a high-density cloud of fragments. That changes the odds. AHEAD is also attractive because it can be integrated with existing cannon systems, especially when paired with modern sensors and fire control. It gives point defense units a smarter, more precise way to use gun ammunition against moving aerial threats. Another ammunition concept gaining attention is DART, a beam-guided, canard-controlled projectile with a proximity fuse. It is more sophisticated than a simple shell and points toward a future where gun-fired munitions are no longer dumb rounds, but guided or semi-guided systems. That trend is important because drone technology is evolving too. Small UAVs are not just flying in straight lines anymore. They can maneuver, change altitude, adjust course, and in some cases, use sense and avoid logic to make interception harder. That creates a new problem for the defender. If the target can move intelligently, the projectile may need to do the same. This is why a major area of research now focuses on guided gun ammunition. The idea is to give cannon rounds some of the qualities of missiles, but at lower cost and in a much smaller package. That means integrating seekers, miniaturized electronics, advanced fuses, and control surfaces into a very small shell diameter, often 23mm, 30mm, 35mm, or 40mm. And that is a serious engineering challenge. Space is limited. The nose section of a shell is small, yet it must house the sensors, fuse, power, control logic, and structural support needed for a smart round. It must also survive the violent acceleration of firing, the shock of setback, and the intense pressures of launch. Any guidance system has to be rugged enough to live through all of that and still function perfectly in flight. That is not easy. Miniaturization is one challenge. Durability is another. A third is control. If the round has terminal guidance, the control surfaces have to react quickly enough to correct the projectile's path in the final seconds of flight. That means small foldable fins, responsive actuators, and extremely fast decision-making inside a shell that has only a very brief flight window to do its job. This is where modern electronics have changed the game. Rapid advances in digital signal processing, miniaturized sensors, millimeter wave propagation, and improved actuator technology have made it possible to imagine rounds that would have been impossible a generation ago. In other words, the line between a missile and a gun projectile is starting to blur. And that matters, because the future of counter-drone warfare will not be won by one system alone. It will be won by lasers. First, detect the swarm early with the best possible mix of sensors. Then classify it quickly to cue the right defensive layer. If it closes the distance, guns with airburst ammunition may be the most cost-effective answer. If it gets too close for either, directed energy, high-power microwave systems, collision drones, or nets may have to finish the job. That layered response is the direction nearly every modern military is moving in. And the reason is simple. The threat itself is layered. Some drones are used for pure saturation. Some are flying decoys. Some are reconnaissance vehicles. Some carry explosives. Some act as relays or communication nodes. Others are designed to punch holes in air defense networks, attack logistics points, or strike dual-use infrastructure like depots, power stations, and command nodes. In Ukraine, that has already become a proving ground for the next phase of drone warfare. Fiber-optic and wire-guided drones have emerged as a way to resist jamming. Relay drones have extended communication range. Other drones have been adapted for anti-radiation missions and for coordinated attacks on military and industrial infrastructure. In the Middle East, similar trends are visible. Cheap drones probing defenses, exhausting interceptors, and making every hour of air defense more expensive than it should be. And now, artificial intelligence is pushing all of this further. Future swarms will not simply fly together, they will behave together. Some will coordinate in a single mass, operating as one body to overwhelm defenses. Others will split into roles, with one group acting as decoys, another group jamming sensors, and another group striking the target. That means the swarm itself becomes a system, not just a collection of flying objects, but a distributed strike architecture. That is what makes this so dangerous. A swarm is not just a larger number of drones, it is a different operational model. It can adapt, cooperate, and saturate the defender in ways a single missile or aircraft never could. And the more autonomy and machine learning enter the picture, the more difficult it becomes to predict exactly how the swarm will behave once launched. This is why the defense world is moving so rapidly toward smarter guns, programmable fuses, advanced seekers, and layered counter-UAS systems. Because, in the end, this is not just about drones. It's about air superiority at the lowest cost possible. It is about the offense-defense balance being tilted by a new generation of cheap, smart, expendable systems. And it is about the future battlefield, where the side that can detect, classify, and destroy the smallest threat fastest may be the side that survives the largest one. The air war is changing. The weapons are cheaper. The swarms are smarter. And the defenses now have to become smarter too.